Alright guys, in the last video we went ahead and set up the ability to take GET requests to API/items, which gives us a list of all the items, and also items slash and then the ID, and we can get the individual one. So now we want to be able to make a post request to add an item to the database. So if you've been watching along here and you've done the projects, you know that because we added this here as a resource, then we have all kinds of routes, including a post route. So if you ever want to look and see what the available routes are in your application, you can simply do PHP artisan route and then list. Alright, and if we take a look here, you'll see that we can make a post request to API/items, and that's going to call the store function in the items controller. So that's where we need to be. Alright, so in the items controller, we'll go down, where is it? Right here, store. And just to test it out, we can do a return 123, and then if we were to go over here and change this to post, and just we want to go to API/items, click send. Now we're going to get an issue here. Okay, you can see we're getting a 500 internal server error issue. Now this is happening because normally when we submit a form through our Laravel application and we submit it to store, the form includes something called a CSRF token. Alright, and we're not including that in this request because we're not using one of our forms from our application. So what we need to do is disable that for the API routes. Alright, so anything that has API/, we don't want that to have to go through the CSRF protection. So what we can do is go over to, let's see, where is it? Middleware, and then verify CSRF token. Okay, let's open that up, and you'll see that there's an array here called accept, and what we want to put in here is the routes that we don't want to have to use that, and that's going to be API/anything. Okay, so you want to put an asterisk here, and that represents anything. So let's save that, and then go back to Postman. Oops, where is it? And send it again, and now we get our response of 123. Alright, so we know that we're now able to make a post request to the store function. So let's go back here, get rid of that, and we still want some validation. We want to make sure that there's a text field. Okay, that's going to be required. Now normally what we do, and what we have done if you've been watching all the projects, we do this validate, and then we pass in the request, and then we have an array, and we would say text, and it's an associative array. We could set that to required. Alright, now if we do it like this, we can't handle the errors. So basically we can't say what we want to happen if this fails and if it doesn't. So we're not going to do it this way. Alright, what we're going to do is create a variable called validator, and we're going to set it to validator. Actually, we need to bring this in up top in order to use it, so we're just going to do use validator. Alright, and then we're going to call make, so validator make, and then in here we're going to pass in request all, which is a function, and then we're going to set a second parameter, which will be an array with our rules, so text, and then set that to required. Okay, so that works the same way. Now we can actually test this, so let's do if validator fails. Okay, so if validator fails, then we want to create a response to send, and we want to send a JSON response. So it'll be a JSON array which will have the validation message as well as if it was successful or not. So let's create a variable called response, which we'll set to array. All right, and then we're going to have response, and we're going to set that to whatever the message is. So we can say validator messages. All right, and then let's put a comma here, and then we'll have an index of success, and that's going to be set to false in this situation because obviously that it didn't validate. All right, and then we just simply want to return the response. Okay, so that will do that. And then else, so if there is, if this passes, if there is a text field, we want to continue to insert that into our database. And we're going to do that just like we've been doing by creating a variable here. We'll call it item, and we'll say new item. And we actually have to bring that in up here as well. Oh, we did. Alright, so new item, and then we can just add our fields. So let's do item text, and we'll set that to request input, and that's going to come from the text field. Alright, and then we want the body, and that's going to come from request input body. Alright, and then we want to save it, so we'll do item save. That'll actually save it in the database. And then for a response, we want it to respond with the item that it saves. So we can do that by doing return response JSON, and then just pass in item. Alright, let's save it. And if we go back here and choose post, go to API/items, and let's try it first without adding anything in the body, any data. So it gives us a 500 internal error. Now I'm not exactly sure why it gave us that. I mean, we didn't include the text field, but it should give us this response, not a 500 error. So I think I messed something up. Aha, right here, request all. This is actually a function. Wait a minute, that shouldn't go there. Is that right? Validator make request all, and then we have our array. Yeah, let's try that. There we go. All right, so now we're just getting an error saying the text field is required. So you want to make sure you're on body right here, and we want to add text for the key, and then for the value we'll just say item 3, and then we can add body, and we'll say this is item 3. Alright, and then let's send that, and then it gives us a response. Not only does it give us the text and body, but it gives us the updated, the created, and the ID. Alright, and if we look at our database now, let's go to items, you'll see there it is. Okay, so that was inserted through the API. Alright, so in the next video I'm going to show you how we can set up routes for update as well as delete.